What's up? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and today I want to show off this little quad from Snaptain. This is the Snaptain SP300, and so I think this is an indoor quad. You can fly it in one of its modes outdoors, but for the other two modes, I think you have to fly this thing indoors. But this has three modes to fly it. You can fly it with this transmitter here. This is a traditional style transmitter with altitude hold. So the left side, which is the throttle stick, is self-centering, as you can see there. So you can fly it with this. You can fly it with no transmitter at all. If you power this thing on and leave it sitting for a while, it'll go into a series of flashes of the LEDs. And then once that's over, this thing will give you the option to fly it with the transmitter or toss it, and it'll start flying on its own. And in that mode, it'll just continuously spin around, applying yaw. And it has these sensors on each side, on four sides, actually five sides, because it has a sensor, an infrared sensor on each side and on the bottom as well. So five sides of this thing has infrared sensors that senses when objects are close to it. And so you can control this thing with your hands by putting your hand next to it. It'll cause it to fly away from whatever side you put your hand on. And it'll also act as an obstacle avoidance feature. So it'll be constantly spinning when you toss it. If it drifts near a wall or anything that comes into contact with these infrared sensors, it'll move away from that object. So that's a pretty neat way to fly it. And if it's going down too low, a hand underneath it would activate this infrared sensor on the bottom, which would cause it to climb in altitude. And so all sides are covered except for the top. So there's no sensor on the top. I imagine if you would fly this outdoors in that mode, it would fly away probably. So I do not recommend flying this thing outdoors that way. The LEDs are very, very nice, really bright LEDs on here, but they're not orientation specific. In other words, all of the LEDs are just blue. So this whole thing lights up really nice, but it's blue. So you don't have a red in the front and blue in the rear or anything like that to help you with orientation. So I wouldn't say this is a good night flyer, but it looks really nice. If you're used to flying quads, you're more than just a beginner, then you can probably get away with flying this at night, because you can there's all sorts of tricks that you can use to help yourself remember orientation with flying these. But for the most part, the LEDs are all one color. And so let's get into this here. This is a thing that goes onto your hand. This is a controller, a one-handed controller this is. And so you can hit that to see what the power level is. It's powered all the way up. It's charged all the way to the fullest capacity. And so this thing allows you to move your hand and control this with hand gestures. There's an accelerometer in here, so when you lean it to each side, the quad leans and flies that way. You can lean it forward or backwards and it'll go forward or backwards. And there's a button here that goes around the finger, and if you press this button, it lands or takes off. So that's how you land it and take off with it. And you can fly side to side in any direction. You hold the power button here on top to turn it off. There. And so three ways to control this thing. You toss it and it'll do obstacle avoidance, or you can fly it with the traditional transmitter, or you can do the motion sensor thing with this, with the accelerometer, one-handed flight. It comes with two batteries. One is inside the aircraft. It also comes with two USB chargers to charge these two batteries that it has. And I think the watch charges, yes, there's a little socket on the side there. The watch is to be charged up with an included cord that fits in there. And this transmitter takes two AAA batteries. which are not included. You have to get your own batteries. So let's get into a flight of this thing. Okay, so the first mode we're going to look at is the mode where you just toss the thing or shake it. So we're going to turn it on. And I have it kind of dark in here so you guys can see the lights. So we're going to just pick it up and toss it. So check it out. So it's doing that on its own. I don't have the transmitter. The transmitter is there. The other motion transmitter is there. So check it out. Whenever it comes close to something, it goes the other direction. So it's sort of like an obstacle avoidance. So you don't have to worry about this thing crashing into anything. Unless, of course, you're in too small of a space for it to really take advantage of the obstacle avoidance. Then you're going to have this thing probably bumping a little. So let's see if it flies away. Yep. So that's that mode. You can make it go up. Seems like it's having trouble sensing the curtain there because the sunlight affects it. So that's why I was saying that this thing cannot be flown outside in all of its modes. This is the mode that you can't fly it outdoors. See, the curtain there is lit up by sunlight, so that interferes with the infrared sensors that's on it. So let's see, I think I'm going to have to catch it to stop it. And we're going to just turn it off. Okay, so we're swapping out the battery. This is the second battery. It's fully charged. And as you can see, it has this micro low-C connector on it. So plug that in. Then we're going to shove this thing inside here. Best we can. There you go. Get that in there. And so now we're going to check out flight with this motion sensor. So it goes on this way. This goes through here. This little piece of Velcro goes around the finger there, like that. And then we just have to strap this on. A little difficult to do it with one hand, so we're going to come back with it done. You guys can see the button is on the side here. We're going to be controlling it like this, and doing motion gestures like that. So let's turn on the drone. Then we're going to press this button here to turn on the wrist controller here. And so it's bound. So if I press this button one time, it's going to take off. So let's make sure we're in the correct direction. Okay, so that's the front there. So let's back up and try to do this. Now if I press this button here, it's going to take off. Let's press it. Okay, so we're in the air. Check it out. Now, if I lean my wrist in a direction, the quad follows suit. So to go forward, I just lean forward. To go back, I just pull back. Check it out. And you want to do this with the fist ball. Because you have a button on the side here to press. Check it out. This button on the side, if you press it one time, it does a flip. Try flip. Let's try another flip. Okay, so that went well. So we can make it descend by holding this button and leaning the wrist forward. Let's try that. Okay, so it drops. We can make it rise by doing the same thing and bringing the wrist back. Okay, let's bring it back down a little though. So now we're going to try the yaw. The yaw is a little tricky. You have to do the same thing and then lean to a side. Let's try that. There you go. You got it yawing. So that worked out. And let's see. You can, I think I showed everything. I think you can go in obstacle avoidance mode. 3 presses on this here. Let's try that. I think that's what does the 3 presses. Let's see. 3 presses. Did put it in obstacle avoidance mode. So check it out. I can still lean it though. It might be in headless mode or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's in headless mode. Let's press it 3 times again. Get out of that mode. It was in headless mode with 3 presses. So not sure how to get it in obstacle avoidance mode. I'll have it up on the screen for you guys to see. It's a little complicated trying to do it with this motion sensor. As of now, I can't remember actually how to do it. So it might not be too complicated. But let's try to land it. I guess we have to hold this button and then press the on and off button to land it. Let's try that. That was the emergency stop. I held it too long. A single press on this button makes it do a flip in the direction that you lean your hand. Pretty cool. Doesn't look like it's going to do a flip anymore. Okay, so it's landing on its own. Let's go on to transmitter control. Okay, so I figured I'd bring it outside to show you guys flight with a traditional style transmitter. And we're going to go straight to high rates because it's a little breeze out here and we don't want to see this thing sailing away on me. And also, if you press this right stick in, if you press it down, then it goes into obstacle avoidance mode. You're going to avoid that mode outdoors because this thing will probably just fly away on you. Infrared doesn't play well with sunlight or moonlight for that matter. So, wow, it's really breezy out here. So I'm wondering if this is even a good time to fly this thing on high rates. But anyhow, we're going to give it a go. Hopefully it fares well. We're going to take off from ground level. Okay, so we're going to press this button here to turn it on. The lights are on. Barely can see it. Hopefully you guys can see it on camera. The arrows are pointing away from me, so we know that's the front. So we're going to put it down here. Turn on the transmitter. We're going to have to go up and down on the left stick to bind it. Okay, so if we hold down this button, it'll turn off the lights. Let's try that. So the lights are off. You guys can't see it though. Anyhow, probably. To take off, we're going to press down this button here, the left stick. So we're in the air. It's on low rate. So we're going to press the left shoulder button. One time it's in second rate. Let's see if we can manage in second rate. Let's try the yaw. That's the yaw. Side flying aileron against the wind. Side flying aileron with the wind. And it's trying to climb on me. Forward flight against the wind. Forward flight with the wind. And so let's go into third rate. One press on the left stick gives us a higher rate. We're in third rate now. Let's try the yaw. So the yaw is pretty fast now. Really nice fast yaw. Check it out. Side flying aileron increased a little. Check it out. Forward flight also increased. We're going with the wind here. So let's see if we can do some yaws. Yep. Yaw them pretty nicely. So there's a button on here you can press to make it go crazy with yaw. Tornado spins. Press this button. And there it is. You have to come out of it though. Don't want it to fly over the fence on me. Okay, so let's try some funnels. Those are pretty nice funnels, if I must say so myself. Check them out. Okay, so back up over here. And the wind is doing a number on it. Not sure if it's flashing or not. Yes, it's flashing. So it looks like we're not going to get a chance to test the flips. Well, we did have a look at the flips. Okay, so it's trying to land. It landed on its own, guys. So we already tested the flips indoors, so we know what the flips look like. Pretty decent little fly here. Awesome for beginners. The Snaptain SP300. Thanks for watching.